A sad day and a tough start to the Alaska flying season. As of yesterday, a vintage DC-4 November 3054 Victor went down shortly after takeoff from Alaska's Fairbanks Airport in what appears to be a catastrophic failure of the number one engine. Here's what we know so far. Starting first with the Aviation Safety Network, Tuesday, 23 April, Douglas C-54D Skymaster, that's the military designation for the DC-4, owner-operator Alaska Air Fuel, so it's operating as a bulk fuel cargo aircraft, carrying fuel out to the more remote villages in Alaska from Fairbanks. November 3054 Victor, serial number 10547. The fatalities on board at this time appear to be two. The two crew members, the pilot and the co-pilot. The C-54 in this configuration did not require a flight engineer as opposed to the DC-6. A Douglas C-54D Skymaster operated by Alaska Air Fuel crashed into the Tanana River. Shortly after takeoff from the Fairbanks International Airport, the number of occupants and possible injuries is unknown at this point. It looks like two fatalities, the two crew members. ADS-B data shows that the airplane was climbing to about 1,500 feet before it began a descending left turn towards the river. Here on FlightAware for November 3054 Victor, there's only about 4 minutes of data. Aircraft departing out of Fairbanks, started a right-hand turn, then declared emergency and attempted a left-hand turn back to the airport. Looks like he made it up to about 16 or 1,500 feet, and the data suggests ground speeds of 139 to 147 miles per hour before the data ends. Looking at the track log, it looks like the ground speed increases to the end of the data, and the rate of descent starts out from 300 to 600 feet per minute to 1,000 feet per minute before the data ends at 900 feet. 54 Victor had departed from runway 20 right, the large runway here at Fairbanks, almost 12,000 feet long, and was attempting to return to runway 2 left. Once again, the Avocado Flight Channel has the ATC audio captured on his channel. With his permission, we'll listen to it, review it here now.
Fairbanks Tower, 3054 Victor, coming up short 20 right, ready upon reaching.
Douglas 3054 Victor, Fairbanks Tower, hold short runway 20 right, line in traffic.
Hold short 20 right, 54 Victor.
Douglas 54 Victor, runway 20 right, line up and wait. Douglas 54 Victor, runway 20 right, clear for takeoff, wind 020 at 3. Douglas 54 Victor, contact departure.
Order departure, 54 Victor, thank you.
See ya.
Now, as typical with these freighter operations in Alaska, usually the captain in the left seat is a very seasoned captain flying these older aircraft, and in the right seat usually are younger, newer pilots building time. And I believe on the radio is the first officer in the right seat making the radio calls.
700.
Number 3054 Victor, Fairbanks departure, radar contact, enabled, and right on course.
Right on course, enabled, 54 Victor. Tower 3054 Victor will be returning to field. Alright, let's get down on the ground, get in the field.
Number 3054 Victor, roger, and just as to refining system, did you want runway 2?
Yes, we'll have a... Yes, we'll retire.
Okay, roger, and do you have amount of number of fuel on board and people?
Fuel on board, 1,400 fuel.
2 people on board, captain and the first officer. The C-54 or DC-4 does not require a flight engineer, thus only the 2 passengers or the 2 crew members on board for this cargo operation. 1,400 gallons of fuel on board refers to the amount of gallons in the wings of the DC-4. They are not referring to any of the bulk fuel in the cargo compartment, and we do not know at this time if they were hauling any cargo fuel or bulk fuel in the cargo compartment.
Completion left heading 020.
Yeah, my love, man. Yeah, my love. Left turn 020, traffic 22.
Hello, 54 Victor, make sure to runway 2 left. November 3054 Victor, you can contact Fairbanks Tower.
The crash has already occurred. Mike Emmers, the co-owner of Rosie Creek Farm, shot this eyewitness video, which will be instrumental in the NTSB investigation of this accident. This appears to be a video of Mike's video shot from Rosie Creek Farms, just above the Tanana River, located out over here. We'll see the aircraft enter from the right side of the screen. There's no audio on this video. Boom. That appears to be the number 1 engine. And they go in nearly straight down. So at this point, it appears that the aircraft is in the left turn trying to get back to the Fairbanks Airport. The ATC audio transmissions have probably already been made. They know they've got a major problem with the number 1 engine, some sort of an engine fire. As the aircraft enters the frame view, you can see glowing out the left wing of the aircraft, and right about there is a major explosion on board the aircraft. It looks like something falling off the aircraft here. This could very well be the fuel tank itself. There appears to be something else falling off of the aircraft. The NTSB will get the full high-resolution version of this video. And again, it'll be absolutely instrumental in helping explain exactly what happened here. This is just a piece of debris on the screen. And the aircraft there's an immediate loss of control of the aircraft to the left. And it definitely appears to be all having come from a problem from the number 1 engine, the engine on the far left side of the aircraft. It's likely that the number 1 engine completely departed the left wing. Perhaps the left aileron was lost as well. Such a catastrophic engine failure that the control of the aircraft was lost altogether. Here's a picture of the crash site along the edge of the Tanana River. And another view showing very little left of the aircraft. The black plume of smoke could be seen from the Fairbanks Airport and surrounding area. This aircraft has an interesting history, and it's an aircraft we know pretty well here in Northern California. Serial number 10547. It was first built in 1942 as a C-54, the military version of the DC-4, and it looks like it did serve and then was converted to a C-54Q, but it was most famously known here as Tanker 16 by Aero Union here in Chico, California for many years. These DC-4s made outstanding air tankers for the air tanker program until they were eventually phased out. And it was briefly painted up in these bicentennial colors. And there you can see the tank on the bottom of the aircraft as Tanker 162. And then eventually it made its way up to Alaska and was rebuilt and looks like pressed back into service around 2020 timeframe. 5 June 2020 was picked up by Alaska Air Fuel. There's a very interesting YouTube video here under the Crave Life channel about this is a different airframe than the airframe that just crashed. This is November 96358, but it's another C-54 or DC-4 operated by Alaska Air Fuel. And this video does a pretty good explanation of the job, the very important job that these aircraft do in Alaska. So here's where the interior of the aircraft is converted for hauling fuel. It looks like they take 4 of these tanks, 830 gallons each, and fill them with fuel, to haul them out to the more remote parts of Alaska. And I believe these are KC-97 fuel tanks, as the KC-97 operated as a fuel tanker for years in Alaska, and these tanks were relatively easily available on the surplus market. Today in Canada, apparently they no longer are allowed to use these type of surplus KC-97 fuel tanks, and instead are required to use bladder fuel cells, much more expensive bladder fuel cells, or BATs as they call them. So it appears to me that this crew is fighting a problem with one of these engines, probably the number one engine, probably a number one engine fire, for some time before this catastrophic explosion took down the entire aircraft. Thank you so much for your support of this channel, especially the folks over on Patreon that make this content possible. See you here.